Merry Christmas.
We want to hear about a little history of the Emmons family, some fun stuff, because I know you guys are crazy. So, I want you to be thinking about some fun things, some of the fun or funniest things you've seen or done at one of the Emmons Christmases, or on the farm, memories on the farm. I know you guys have some, right?
Two barns.
Two barns. What else? What else? Maybe. Okay, I think Aunt Joyce is going to go first. And then maybe Aunt Joyce, Uncle Leland, Uncle Roger, and Mom can share some childhood memories as well that we may not be aware of. So, Aunt Joyce, you must have a memory you want to share, right?
I was thinking about the time that I got in Dad's big farm truck and pushed on the clutch and it backed into the corn crib, and I got a good tanning for that one.
I was driving a truck when I was about 9 years old. When I was making hay, I was a designated driver. When I was using horses, stand on the next to top rung, and there's Uncle Ansel and Dad loading the hay on the wagon and the truck. He used to grow a lot of tomatoes, sugar beets. They'd load those sugar beets. I don't know how high the tuck rack was, but they used these big forks about foot and a half wide with little balls on the end so they didn't stab the beets, and throw them over the top of the rack into the truck.
We had a farmhand that worked with us, and Uncle Bruce was coming in, or he was coming in the back porch, and Uncle Bruce went out to get some wood for the fire, and he passed out, and Harry, that was the farmhand, come in the door there, and he cussed at him and asked him what the heck he thought he was doing, only he didn't use that language. And so anyhow, Dad went and chawed him out good and told him that he didn't want that kind of talk in our house. And the other thing old Harry used to do was on Saturday nights he would go into Morenci. No, whiz bars. Whiz bars. He would he would go into Morenci and he would get drunk. And when he come home drunk a few times, Dad told him, give him money and told him, you stay in a motel overnight, and he says, get sobered up before you come back. But he always brought all 6 of us kids a whiz candy bar. I remember that because I liked those candy bars. And I don't think you can even buy one in today. And if somebody else got something to say.
There's one time I remember they loaded the wagon first, and they had it parked down there at the foot of that sand hill next to Jackson's. And horseflies got to bother them, and the horses took off. They went up and got on the road, and then they turned and went into Jackson's and went out in their field and flipped the wagon over, and they were just going round and round and round in circles when they got up there.
Did you ever get in trouble?
Heck no. I got after Roger once, so up in the silo, stuck a fork right through his foot.
I stomped on the mouse. Leland stuck my foot. He missed the mouse, but I got him.
She said it was accidental, but I don't know. Had the mouse going around there, and I had the fork, and when it come around there, I went down. Roger put his foot out at the same time.
I got him.
Yeah, you got the mouse?
He was under my foot.
I was pretty little, but I remember sitting on Mom's lap and watching Roger crawl on the floor on his hands and knees.
Did you ever get in trouble?
No.
They were good.
What about my
I
mom? Can
was
you
a
tell
good
anything
boy.
about my mom?
How about your mom?
Yeah. Any stories about her?
Not really.
No?
She was pretty good.
Wow. How about
And
Aunt
mother
Joyce?
too. Huh?
How about Aunt Joyce?
And Joyce? No, she was a brat.
I can't hold the camera still.
He asked about Aunt Joyce, and he's like, "Oh, she was a brat."
She still is.
I don't know about that, but yeah, I remember as kids when we'd, this was before baling time, when they did the old-fashioned way, the horse-drawn farming method. I remember when they used to throw the straw down in the cows' anywhere where the cows stayed, the covered shed, and we would jump down from the silo or the haymow down into that pile of the pile of straw. Anyway, yeah. Then I remember shimmying down the ropes, getting from the haymow down to the bottom. I think I had a lot of rope burns, but.
The thing I remember the most about the farm was the family gatherings. I can remember as a child going to Grandma Emmons's and having her fried chicken and homemade noodles. And everybody would gather around the big table, and there'd be a small table for the kids, and we'd just have a great time.
Grandma used to raise chickens, and when we'd have chicken dinner, she'd cut their heads off, and they'd flip all over the yard till they finally died.
Did you like watching that?
Well, it was kind of fun. But I remember when I come home from work one night, when I turned off of Seneca Highway onto Brown Road, and my car sunk clear to the running board. It was mud. Dad had to come down with a tractor and pull me out.
I remember we used to have our family Christmases at Morenci High School with the rubber floor in the gymnasium, and we played basketball, shooting hoops. And that was fun. We had so many little kids. They were running all over the place, but it was a blast.
I remember one other time when we had a rotten tomato fight with the neighbors. We were having a dispute with the Marshall family, and they had a big garden out there with tomatoes that were rotting, and we were just throwing them at each other across the road. That's about it.
Did you used to milk the cows?
Oh, are you kidding?
No, I was wondering, did you?
No.
Really?
Grandpa really didn't want us girls in the barn.
Oh.
That's nice.
I do remember going up to Grandma Emmons's upstairs, and it's like, oh my goodness. Paper and piles of stuff everywhere. It was crazy.
I remember when they used to haul hay and put it up in the mow with these big fork tines, and and would be the wheat and the corn and the whole thing. All the neighbors got together and helped one another, and we had these guys that would come. And there would be a great big wash tub sitting outside in the yard with soap and towels, and they'd go and all wash up in that big tub. And then they'd all come in, sit around the table, and eat. And the one thing that these guys always had that maybe they didn't somewhere else was my dad would say prayer at the table before they would eat. But anyhow, I used to like that because there was some kind of young guys, they were older than me, probably Margie's age at that time, that used to like to tease me, and I lapped that up. You know, it was something really a lot of fun. Now, Margie, are you going to talk?
My sister always had to go practice a piano, and I had to do the dishes.
She used to chase me around the table, and she would dig her fingernails into my head. I always had 4 perfect moon shapes on my wrist all the time. And he used to chase me around the table. You know, I mean, we did our share of fighting, I guess.
Anything more about Aunt Joyce?
She was a brat.
Well, why did you get into it?
Well, I can remember when we used to go swimming in the cow pasture with the cow poop, and we got all in trouble. Dad made us ride home in the trunk of the car. That would be Lee's kids, Joyce's kids. We all had a good time. Yep. We would take the tops of the silos would be out behind the barn, and they were shaped like a teepee. We'd play cowboys and Indians and use the horses Uncle Dean had and we had, and we'd play cowboys and Indians up and down the road and raised all kinds of heck. Held a May basket on Grandma and Grandpa every year. See if they could chase us around the yard, which they never did. We'd stay out all night playing Ghost in the Graveyard and Red Rover, and we had a lot of good times.
I remember getting up on Grandpa's big tractor. Always seemed so huge, but just going out to the farm was always a blast.
I was probably one of the last ones to ever remember thrashing. Dad and I cut the wheat, shocked it.
Well, I remember the thrashing machine when we lived on Weston Road, across the road from us. And the neighbors all just took turns with the thrasher to get their crops in.
He threw it on the wagon, and I stacked it, went up to the thrashing machine, and I would load it, and he would run the blower, blowing the straw where he needed it. That was good times back then.
Mm-hmm. Felix Witt, that lived across the road from us, always had barn dances.
Barn dances?
Barn dances, yep.
Did you go to a barn dance?
No, I just heard the noise.
Remember playing softball on the field that we had made, that the Garwoods had made at the corner there. Playing out in the cow pasture where we use the cow pies as bases. You got to be careful when you stepped on them, though.
What did you do for fun?
Jump rope and a tag. We'd hide and seek, all that kind of stuff.
In 1960, according to Uncle Leland, Grandpa, and probably Uncle Roger had a bunch of little pine trees that they went to plant on a hillside across from Schoenauer's. And Mike and I saw the tractor coming, and we had ran in the house, say, "Mom, Grandpa's coming with a tractor. Can we go with them?" And she says, "No, don't you go. If you do, when you get home, you're going to get your dad will deal with you." Well, the tractor went by, and Mike and I jumped on that wagon, and we went. And when we got home, my dad dealt with us. I learned after that, when Mom says no, you don't do it.
What I remember are playing basketball in the haymow with all my cousins. We also played football every Sunday. And I remember the one time that we were playing football and Deb got upset because I was being too rough. So I just told her to go play with her Barbie dolls.
I can remember the blizzard of 1978 when we were snowed in big time, and Nancy took our horse down to the farm because we had no milk, and rode the horse down to the farm to get milk. And then when she came back, she had Robin with her on her horse, and the horses were like jumping to try to get through the snow because it was so thick. But we still have pictures of Robin carrying milk in her backpack on the horse.
Sherry wanted me to tell everybody that I used to climb flagpoles as well. And I slid down the antenna to escape from my bedroom. I was not a bad kid.
Uncle Bruce threw a thing of wood down on a wood pile and hit me in the top of the head.
Oh, that's right.
By the time I got home, I was all blood. That's it.
I remember when we were gonna go out to the farm, we would always get so excited because we lived in the city. We were the city slickers, I guess, so we were told. So going out to Brown Road was always fun with all the cousins. We'd go to Uncle Leland's house, and I don't know, you had some kind of a corn crib thing out there or something, and we'd pull corn things out of it, out of the holes.
Yeah.
That was fun. And then, I don't know, they heated with some kind of a black coal stuff, right? And you had coal that you'd heat with.
I used to burn coal.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's totally new for us because we lived in the city.
We had coal.
We did?
Yeah.
What?
Didn't you have to go down and fill that thing up?
No, I didn't. I guess you did, being the oldest.
Keep that hopper full.
Okay. And then we used to play in the haymow. That was always fun. And the cow barn stunk, but, you know, yeah, it stunk.
It smelled like money.
Money. It smelled like money. So that was always fun.
But I remember Grandpa sitting on the tractors, too, with his mason jar full of iced tea. He always had to have his mason jar full of iced tea. And Grandma out in the garden, I remember all those times. Living across the street from them, we got to experience having them around a lot. So
I think Mom and Dad went away sometime, and we got to stay with Uncle Bruce and Aunt Barb. And see, she would have these big, huge 5-gallon cans of cookies, and the cookies would be wrapped up in wax paper with 2 stacks of 6 in it. And all kinds of cookies. Mom, who started making those cookies? What aunt was it? Used to make those cookies?
Pearl made cookies.
Aunt Pearl. Well, Aunt Barb always had buckets, big.
Well, Aunt Pearl gave them to her because she had all those foster kids.
Oh. So anyways, that was fun because we got to get into the cookies, lots of cookies. And then I know down their basement, Uncle Bruce, working at this school, he would have old school desks and all kinds of paper and fun stuff to color and fun school supplies. So that was always fun.
I've been run over about 5 times that I know of.
Mom ran over Leland one time, but he didn't get hurt.
Yeah, I hope she paid better at the funeral. She used to play when I heard her, but
She was on her way to play the piano for a funeral.
I was behind the car. She backed up. My dress that I was wearing then caught underneath the car, burned my back quite a bit, I guess. I heard.
Anyway, he was in front of the car and she didn't know it, and so it just scraped his back.
I was riding with Bruce, is out working in the field behind over there to Uncle Lancel's. My hat blew off. I jumped off to get it. Went to jump back up on the spring tooth drag, and the rotary hole caught my heel.
Down.
And I went face down in the dirt. I got a big scar here yet.
Holes in his head.
Yeah. Riding with Don Emmons one time, when I was a kid, out in the field working on one under a tree, and I didn't make it through. I got run over there. got backed into when I was working for Cutler Dickerson. Practically cut me in half. Went to the doctor and I showed him I was all black and blue around my waist and everything. He says, well, he says, you ought to hurt. That was it. No x-rays, nothing.
Wow, and you're still here.
I'm still here.
Wow.
When I remember baling hay, and Grandma always made a big pot of ginger beer or ginger tea, whatever they called it. That stuff was the best that I've tried ever since then to find that recipe, and never could find the recipe, but that was the best stuff on a hot day, let me tell you.
She was so stubborn, she'd never change her clock.
I remember one time when Mom went and had her brother and his wife over for dinner, and I went down there in the afternoon, and they were all sitting around the table, and I reached across and picked up a piece of meat off the platter and ate it. And I thought, boy, this is really bad. Did she really feed that to those people? Mom asked me later on if I knew what that was, and I said, what was it? She said, venison. So that wasn't a preconceived idea that I didn't like it.
She would always try to compensate for the time, but she didn't always. Well, she was always late anyway, so it didn't matter.
That's funny.
I'm not kidding you. That's the honest truth, girl.
I do not like venison.
Grandma Emmons always had in her freezer big 5-gallon cans full of frozen cherries. And I thought I was the only one that did it, but I would sneak down to the basement and I'd start eating those cherries. And then later on, I found out that I wasn't the only one that did it. And then I can remember when I was living with Grandma, she goes, boy, those cherries go down fast.
Hey, I think Terry needs to come up here so we can reenact our bologna fight. We were at Grandma's and there was one slice of bologna left in the refrigerator and Terry and I were fighting over it. She won. She slapped me in the face with it.
Well, I remember one year we were playing gift. I don't know what you call it. We were stealing gifts, and I remember Dad having a blast with it. He loved it.